And with me is State Representative Cherrish Pryor, who is Indiana. Let me say Indiana State, the great state of Indiana.
The great state of Indiana.
Because I was told to say the great state of Indiana. State Representative Cherrish Pryor. And you are also the treasurer for NBCSO.
Yes, I am. I'm excited to be the treasurer, and I'm very honored that my colleagues have elected me to serve in that capacity.
Let's talk about what you do in that capacity, in this position.
Well, as a treasurer, you know, making sure that we have money coming in, money is spent wisely, making sure that we get all our reports done for the IRS and to keep our not-for-profit status, and making sure that the bills get paid and that we get money coming in.
That part. And
that's a big part. And having, you know, sponsors and organizations, businesses to support our organization and the great work that we try to do for our community.
Absolutely. Talking about that, how does the organization partner with other organizations and stakeholders or policymakers to help advance the legislative agenda?
Thank you for asking that. That is one of the key components I think that we do. We work with the other minority caucuses. There's the Hispanic, the Asian American, and Native American caucuses that we partner with. It's called the Quad Caucus. But we also work very closely with the Congressional Black Caucus as well. And the importance of that is making sure that we're all on the same page in advancing the needs of the African American community. I think it's important that, you know, that we have the unity, and there are so many things that we do locally that is affected by the federal government, and things that the federal government do that's, that affect us at the state level as well. So having a close relationship, particularly our president having that relationship with the chair of the CBC is critical for our organization.
Absolutely. Oh, let's talk about, you know, you laid out everything that you all do and the work that goes into this. Some people may not know on the ground. So when it comes to amplifying, ensuring that African American voices are amplified and represented in state legislators nationwide, can you tell us what those efforts look like?
As far as amplifying our voices, the one thing that we do locally, I think, is really try to take legislation, particularly when we come here to this conference, is learn about the different things that are happening in other states and take that information back to our states, and making sure that if there's good policies that we hear about here, we can try to get those policies implemented in our state. Likewise, if it's something bad that's coming down the pike or a bad piece of legislation or idea, we can learn about that as well. So it's so important for us to work collaboratively, with our colleagues across the country to make sure that we're advancing policies that's going to benefit our community, African American community as a whole.
Let's talk about, before we go, your constituents in Indiana. What are some of the policy reforms or agenda items that are important to, especially Black constituents, that you are kind of pushing in this time?
So one of the things that is critically important in my community, as well as I think across the country when it comes to the African American community, is housing. And some of our older communities, people not being able to afford those homes anymore because the older communities are now the hot spots. And so what we're seeing is a bunch of the older people, their property taxes are going up, and it's making it difficult for them to stay in their homes. And so I have continued to try to put forth legislation that would ease that burden on individuals so that they're not kicked out of their homes, and they're able to stay there. And what I always say is, you know, at one point, it was a time where the communities may have not been the best communities and did not have the services and the grocery stores, the pharmacies, and just basic things that you need in your community. And now that all those things are coming back in those communities and neighborhoods are the nice communities, and they're seeing more investment. Those individuals who were there during the times where all the stuff was not as good, they need to be able to enjoy the fruits of their labor, because they are the ones that fought for all those things to come back to their community. And they need to benefit from all of that, and they should not be forced out of their community simply because they cannot afford their property taxes. And so we have to work on that. It's not always just the senior citizens. I think we focus on them, which is critical. But people maybe in their 60s and, who have lived there, they may have inherited the home from their parents or grandparents. They need to be able to stay in their homes as well. So that's one of the things that I've been focusing on. And of course, the healthcare, the education of our community as well, making sure that we have quality education and quality schools that are safe and that have adequate heating, that does not have lead in the water.
That part.
Yeah. So,
Wow.
it's a lot. But, we're going to keep fighting to make sure that we have everything that we need in our communities, because our kids and our elderlies and people need those things. And so we're going to keep fighting to make sure we're doing the best that we can to provide services to people.